I want to tell you a story about a coach named Zach. I had to have a little bit of tough love with Zach and called him out as a parole officer nutrition coach. Now, rightfully so, he was a little bit offended, but here's why I'm not upset. I helped him go from making $700 to $800 a month as a nutrition coach, mostly as a personal trainer, to someone now making more than $13,000 a month by improving the way he talked to his clients about nutrition, AKA shutting down the parole officer. How did we do it? Let me tell you exactly what I told Zach to change about his coaching style. Well, hi and welcome. My name's Jen and I'm a registered dietitian. One of the things I wanted to jump into today is talking about the 4 different types of coaching styles, and whether you're a coach yourself working with your own clients or whether you're looking to hire someone to work with you on your own eating habits, these are some things to look out for so you can pick the person that's right for you. So coaching style number 1 is what I like to refer to as the parole officer. In terms of being an actual coach, this can really work against a client. If you've heard this come out of your mouth, you might realize that you're a parole officer, or if you've hired a coach in the past, you might recognize some of the parole officer tendencies. First of all, metaphorically, there's some finger wagging. And what I mean by the finger wagging is there's a lot of shoulds. You should be sleeping 8 hours every night. You should be prioritizing meal prep and batch cooking. You should be always able to get some vegetables onto your plate. You should be carrying around a water bottle and drinking lots of water. Now, it's not always framed as a should, but it's this sort of imposed list of food and exercise and sleep and stress rules that are presenting you an ideal solution. Professionals who work in this area care about their clients, they want their clients to do well, and often, I even did this when I was a newer coach, our excitement to help our clients reach their goals as quickly and as effectively as they can. But where a parole officer coach fails their client is they often are presenting the ideal, but not necessarily the realistic solution for that client. And so what can happen is meetings start to turn into an actual check with your parole officer. How did the last week or the last month go? Tell me about your wins. Where did you fail? What are you going to focus on this week? And it's a very robotic check, kind of like going to actually meet your parole officer. Now, if you're noticing that as a coach, your check-ins are starting to feel a lot like a parole officer, tell me what's going well, tell me where things are going badly. Not that those questions aren't valuable, but here's some signs that a client is starting to check out. Say you're a coach that likes to assign macros, but if they haven't been eating well for years, let alone haven't seen a vegetable on their plate for months, this is a higher level skill. So it's a lot like going, I want to make you as fit as an Olympic athlete, so you're going to meet me at the pool, we're going to go swimming 3 mornings a week, then we're going to go to the weight room on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we're going to lift for 90 minutes, and then we're going to do some, CrossFit or some high intensity training. If I don't assess that this person has been sedentary, had a knee surgery 6 months ago, and is a little bit nervous to get back into fitness, I could have given them the most perfect workout plan, but it's going to fall short. So what happens in parole officer coaching is we over-assign ideal solutions, not factoring in where the person is in their life, what season of life that they're in, their obstacles, their challenges, their family obligations, their work stress, and we set them up to fail. So then, here's what often happens. Our clients are afraid to meet us for an appointment. You might notice that they start dodging your calls. They don't want to return a text message. They don't respond to an email check-in. They cancel on you because they're afraid to face their parole officer and let them know that they felt short of the expectation. So if you've noticed this in yourself, the first thing to fixing it is awareness. And if we realize our clients are falling short, it's because we set them up in a scenario that wouldn't have allowed them to succeed in the first place. So we're going to put the parole officer on the shelf and we're going to look at coaching style number 2. And the second coaching style is what I refer to as the best friend. This is the coach that spends most of the appointment either gossiping and talking about, like there's an important part obviously about building rapport, but if we never get into it, that can also be problematic. The best friend might also do things like, oh, that's okay, poor you. Oh, I get life is super stressful. Often they enable the victim mentality, where they take ownership off the client's shoulders about what they are capable of doing, or modifying goals to maybe make them easier yet still sustainable. And they basically allow them to kind of go, oh, poor you, it's okay, and nothing really ever gets accomplished. I'll actually share a personal story where I had a client who was going through a really tough divorce, so a very stressful situation. Of course, empathy was needed. But what started to happen over a series of months, which turned into years, is she mostly was using it as a venting session, and it was really difficult to kind of bring the conversation back to what she hired me to support her. And earlier in my career, I noticed I was just doing a lot of enabling. Oh, that must be so tough. Yes, I can only imagine how much of a jerk he is. And almost like feeding her narrative of being the victim. So now, often when I notice clients are going into that headspace, of course there's space for venting, of course there's space for understanding, compassion, non-judgment. But what I want to actually teach them are skills of resiliency and solution-oriented thinking. So transitioning the conversation to, wow, that sounds like a lot that you're juggling. Let's put our heads together and figure out some things that are going to be realistic, that still move you in the direction of your long-term goals and where you want to see yourself, either in a couple of weeks to a couple of months to a couple of years. So it's having that skill as a coach to listen, but also still help your client move forward and make progress. The third coaching style is what I label the all about me. I'm actually training at a gym right now that the coach doesn't realize he's an all about me coach, but every conversation when he's giving feedback to, say, someone learning the snatch technique or, learning a new movement, for instance, he talks all about his own accolades as an athlete and forgets that he is on the floor coaching to make the athletes better. So what an all about me coach does is they spend way too much time talking about themselves and what worked for them. I went keto and I felt amazing. I started doing intermittent fasting last year. I've never had more clear-headed thinking. Oh my gosh, intermittent fasting is terrible. I tried it and it made me binge eat at night. No, you definitely shouldn't do that. So if a coach is bringing too much of their own personal experience in and isn't actually leaving space for you to work on your issues, get support, solve the problems at hand, be mindful that sometimes that all about me attitude doesn't actually help your clients move forward. So a good rule of thumb for us coaches is to listen a heck of a lot more than we talk and really ask a lot of prompting questions to get the person in front of us, our clients, exploring with curiosity their own, areas that they feel like they're succeeding and the areas that they're having obstacles and challenges. If you're starting to notice you're spending too much time talking about yourself and your own relationship with food, that is a red flag that you might be an all about me coach. Well, the final coaching style that we really try to encourage, and I talk to my team about this all the time, is what we call the wise guide. And I like to think of it a lot like a staircase. I don't want to be on the top of the cliff going, hey, the view's great up here. I've been doing this for years. Come on up, come join me. Just do da-da-da-da-da. No one is going to succeed if we give them a laundry list of behavior changes. Instead, we want to help them find their own staircase up the side of the mountain, and we're going to be by their side like a Sherpa or a guide. So our job as a wise guide is to go, there are many right ways to climb this mountain. Some sides are a little steeper, but still doable. If you want to come up the mountain on the vegan side, cool, I'm going to help you do that successfully. If you want to come up the mountain eating all foods fit and a very intuitive eating approach, amazing. I'm going to be right there with you to support you, and we're going to set the pace off of what feels best for you. Another metaphor or analogy is I think of it like a road trip. I'm not driving the car, I'm in the passenger seat. I'm going to help with the GPS and the navigation. but they're ultimately going to control the gas and the brake. They're going to control the speed of the car. They're going to control if they want to go the most direct route or the scenic route. And I'm just going to keep them inspired, motivated, having a good time, falling in love with the journey, while also helping with the navigation of where they want to go. So a wise guide asks questions, and think about questions that start with what. For example, it might look like this. What might the first small step look like to move you just a little bit closer in the direction you want to go? Wow, that sounds really challenging. If you could go back, what might you do differently? We might say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated do you feel in this particular area? Are we talking about a subject that you feel really inspired and ready to make some changes? Or is, maybe addressing your alcohol consumption feeling a little bit overwhelming? And let's go find a place that we can get a win easily on your healthy you scoreboard by putting in some votes for yourself. What area? We have kind of a few topics we could talk about tonight. What area do you want to go into in a little more detail where I can really offer some support? So do you see how a wise guide is giving choice and options and really getting a lot of client buy-in? So I just wanted to touch on those 4 voices, whether you are a client yourself or a coach, in order to just help navigate this journey of healthy behavior change. And even in yourself, you might notice that by bringing in a little bit more of that wise guide, it will support you in ultimately achieving where you want to go with your health, your fitness, and your relationship with food. I'm Jen Brockterman, registered dietitian, and I'm wishing you a happy and healthy relationship with nutrition and food. See you in the next one.